Yes, sir.
Yes, you
So
go, carry on. Yes, done.
That said, I have been working in Cerner for 3 years. I joined as systems engineer. However, now I'm more focusing on DevOps technologies and working as a DevOps engineer. Uh, so Ganesh had asked me to speak about Linux or Unix systems and how it is used in industries. I can say one thing for sure. Uh, Linux or Unix systems are probably the backbones of all the major companies. Just because, okay, let me put it in this way. Linux is not just an operating system. It's a pile of code that has been written by multiple people throughout the world, and that's the reason why it's an open source system. So you can consider this pile of code as a clay. When you have clay, you can sculpt it to whatever you want, or you can design it to whatever you want. And that's what organizations do. They take the code, they customize it to their needs, and it's free. So due to this reason, there are a lot of companies, there are a lot of industries that make use of Linux and other flavors of Linux. Uh, and also the fact that it's really cheap. Let's compare Windows servers and Linux servers. You have to buy licenses, you have to select Windows packages, you have to do so many things, and yet you will be paying in millions of dollars. And there are data centers where you would have millions of servers and millions of firewalls and load balancers and whatnot, which would again require a lot of licenses and lot of licensing, and you have to invest a lot into it. So instead of doing that, if you go with Linux, the servers are free. You can customize it to your needs and whatnot. So it's a really good way to manage your applications or your organizations. And the other fact is that Linux servers are or at least have 99.99999 eight nines at the end percentage of uptime, which is virtually 100% uptime. And if you get into a company as a system administrator, you would probably spend a lot of time in patching your servers. That is, if it's Windows servers. However, if it's Linux servers, you don't have to bother about patches because hackers won't hack their own. Most of the hackers are, using Linux servers as their base systems, so they wouldn't, hack their own servers or basically their own home. And it has one of the best IT securities that coming off from the hacker's point, it has one of the best IT securities because of that reason. And let's say we have a same scenario in Windows or at least Microsoft would take a couple of days to fix it, or to release a new patch to fix that issue. And another instance why Linux is used is because it uses a less resources to spin up, or let's say I want to provision a new Linux server, or I want to spin up a new node, then it would take me less resources to do that. However, if I have to do the same with Windows, I would have to or at least the Windows OS would take a lot of resources, and I don't want that to happen. Being or working in an organization, and I want to be as efficient and as effective as possible in carrying out my responsibilities. So I definitely want Linux over Windows. And uh, you would obviously be working in multiple environments. For example, you will be in prod, there will be test, there will be cert, there will be train environments, there will be so many environments that you need to work in. And in Linux, you just deploy a server and you can install, or you can create all these environments in a single server. You don't have to use multiple servers for each environment, and that's a huge advantage for organizations. But in Windows, you can't do that. You have to have different servers for different environments, and you can customize this Linux to your needs. Programming languages, may it be web apps, may it be development environments, or testing tools. You can do all these things pretty easily in Linux, and that's one of the reasons why organizations make use of, excuse me, Linux. And since I have been working in Sana for a couple of years, I would like to link how Linux is being used in Cerner. Being a healthcare company, it's really important for us to make sure that our applications are up and running. And given the current situation where COVID has such a huge impact on people, on governments, on economies, and whatnot, we want to make sure that we are coming up with new applications, or we have our servers up and running, and the doctors can access our application seamlessly without any issues. We need to make sure that everything is fine at the end of the day, because you are dealing with someone's life at the end of your application. And although your patients or your doctors are thousands of miles away, you still feel that heat when you're developing an application, or when you're sitting in front of a server and handling a task, or upgrading a server, or migrating some applications. You get that sense of importance. So Linux plays a very important role here, because we as a company has certain amount of agreements that we have signed with clients. That those are called as SLA, service level agreements. So according to one of the agreements, whatever applications that Cerner develops will respond back to any sort of queries within 0.5 seconds. If it does not, then the hospital has the right to sue the company. So coming or going back to the previous point where I said Linux uses less resources, this is where it comes into play. We can develop any sort of applications, put our logic in backend, and not worry about the response time. We know for a fact that it will be less than 0.5 seconds. And that's a huge advantage why one must use Linux servers over Windows, or why Linux is used so extensively in organizations or in industries. And Sudarshan sir gave a very good template of what a system administrator's job would be, and I would like to extend that a bit more. Disk management is a huge thing. Being a system administrator, disk management is a huge thing. So there is something called as PVS concept. If possible, try to learn the PVS concept. It's a very important concept, because you will be doing it at least four times in a week. And that's really important to make sure that you have the right amount of disks available, or you have the space available for files to be stored in your server. And creating users, managing users, those are part and parcel of your responsibilities. Upgrading the operating systems from it might be a minor operating a minor upgrades, probably from 4.0 to 4.1, or maybe a major upgrade from 4 to 7. So you will have to understand what an operating system is, and how to upgrade those. However, there are DevOps tools that you can make use of, which will reduce all your efforts, or all the manual efforts. And please focus on Bash programming and awk programming, and grep command is your soul, or should be your soul. Grep solves almost 60-70% of your problems. So understand how to implement grep, understand how to use, or how to make use of pipelines in your in your code. Pipelines and grep are very important. I can't even stress how important those two commands are. So focus on those. That said, I'll probably go back to speaking about placements. Okay, specifically to our college, there are a couple of companies that come for campus placements, but my strategy is to focus on one company, attend all the companies, attend placements for all the companies, no matter what. Okay, if you get an opportunity, then it's well and good. If not, don't be too disappointed, but focus on one company that you would like to work for, which is coming to your college for campus. Focus on that one company, do some research, probably take a month, sit, understand what is that company about, what are their products, what are the technologies that they are currently looking into or currently working on, and see how your profile can match to those technical specifications, and start working on those. Let's say a company is working on C programming, or developing products using C. Focus more on C. And uh, I would say have one programming language, understand the basic networking concepts, one database. I would probably prefer Oracle, um, and make sure that you have right amount of words when you're putting all these things in your sentences, because that, I mean, your English matters too, because you'll be working with US clients, or clients overseas, and your sentences matter a lot. So make sure you have the right communication skills as well. So focus on one company, focus on their technologies, and start working on it, and start preparing on it. Take 1 month, and divide it into sections. Probably first 1 week I'll focus on programming language, and next 1 week I'll focus on database, and next week I'll focus on networking, and next week I'll focus on data structures. So focus on, or divide your 1 month, or whatever time that you have allotted, into certain sections where you can focus on important concepts that are important because you have researched about that company. And when you attend, just be yourself. Don't boost, or don't say something that you're not. Make sure that your resume is short but effective. And I guess that should be more than enough. I guess, because that's what I did when Sana was when I heard Sana was coming to college. I had about 20 days time, so I divided my 20 days into 5 days, and each day I was focusing on database one day on web development, one day on programming language, one day on data structures, one day on database. So that's how I was more confident, because I had two more companies which had come to college. I was just attending it to get the experience of, okay, how the rounds would be, or what is an aptitude round, or although you would have all this aptitude round mock test in your college, you will understand, or there will be some unseen consequences that you will understand when you attend a live interview. So I was gathering all these experiences when I was attending the previous two interviews. So I was probably ready for most of the rounds. And for Cerner, I started preparing in this fashion. And I was confident enough where I thought, okay, once I clear aptitude, I am pretty sure I'll get into the company, because I had prepared for all from all the perspectives possible. And luckily I got into it. So this is what I have. But is there anything else that you guys would want to ask, or if you guys have anything else on your mind, you can let me know. I'll see if I can help you out, or probably something related to what I do, or the responsibilities that one should carry as a system admin. If you can ask me, I can give you more information on that. I'm not sure if this was good enough, so you can let me know if this wasn't. I'll see, or you can ask me questions. I'll see what I can answer.
Thank you, Vasuki. Over to the students. So kindly utilize the opportunity, interact with Vasuki. He has given the introduction, how to how the Linux is being used in industry and his experience of placement and his preparation. So probably you can take your inputs from that and you can interact with him, how it was, maybe it is his interview plan or how he's able to cope up, and he is doing a lot of hard work. Probably that itself is the key for you. So you can please interact with him and get some inputs for your future as well.
Hello.
Hey, yeah.
I just wanted to know what was the level of aptitude test for Cerner.
Uh, it was not tough, but it was tricky. Uh, they'll give you a couple of systems, or you will sit in your labs and you will have to answer a couple of about 52 multiple choice questions. Um, you will have an hour of time. There will be a timer on the system as well, so it's not bad. I mean, it was not tough, but certainly you will have to practice the basics, of aptitude, like boards or upstream, downstream, uh, trains, concepts. So you will have to understand, or you'll have to start working on those. So what I would say, or what I would suggest, is because this is what we did when we were studying. We formed groups within our class, and after the class we sat in the class. We started bringing up questions, writing it on the boards, and whoever knew that concept, they used to come on the stage, and we used to explain the concept. There were no lecturers involved. We never informed any lecturers about it. It was just 4 or 5 people in a group who sat together and came up with our own solutions, or came up with our own problems, started discussing about it, because that's how you learn effectively. And there are a couple of YouTube channels where you can refer all these information, or all the, or learn more about all these concepts as well.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. And were they more interested to know about our projects, or like this they were checking your technical skills?
Initially, they'll certainly skim through your resume just to understand that if you are right person for engineering, or if you are good for coding or testing. So they'll definitely look through your projects to identify that. Uh, let's say you have a pattern in your projects, web development of this, and in third sem, in fourth sem again web development, and fifth sem again web development. Then they know, okay, you are more interested in web apps.
Okay.
But let's say you have various different arrays of projects that you have done. Then they'll be more interested in okay, he can fit into developer, or as a coder. But you are more focused on networking or something like that, then system administration would be the right domain for you. And based on that, they'll start testing your technical skills.
Okay. Okay. And what questions they will ask in technical round? Like
Um,
what kind of questions they will ask us to code, or
yes.
generally orally they will ask?
It would be oral, but they'll give you a piece of paper and pen, uh, and they'll ask you to write a piece of, or they'll give you a question and they'll ask you to write a logic to it. And you can choose your programming languages, but the questions will be in such a way where they would, where you would automatically think of choosing Linux or Bash programming, because the questions will be quite simple. And the other, I mean, it depends on how well you answer those questions. If you're right on the point, or if you're right on the money, and if you answer the questions pretty good, and the second question will be much more complicated, or much more complex, just to test your knowledge. It's not to bring you down, or it's not to prove their point. It's just to check your technical skill set, that's all. So when I was attending the interview, or when I was attending the technical interview, the first question was pretty simple. That is, okay, I have a couple of files in 10 different terminals. Terminals are nothing but 10 different servers, and there is a specific word in all these 10 different files. So I want to retrieve this file from one server without logging into all the servers. How do I do it? So SSH was my immediate command that popped into my mind, and I told, okay, I'll write using bash. And when I finished it, the second question was much more complicated, where they asked me to write a server configuration, or how do I increase a server's RAM using a programming language. And during that instance, they gave me 10 minutes of time, and while I was writing this code in this 10 minutes, the other person who was sitting next to him was asking me some other questions just to distract my thinking, or just to distract my concentration. Some questions like, how did you come to office, or how did you come to college today? Are you using your bike? Do you like going in bike? Something like those questions, so that they test your concentration and see how well you can multitask in a given instance. But I don't think that would happen to everyone. uh, it's just that my day, or on that day, my fate was not that good. Uh, but overall, the questions will be quite simple. It won't be complicated. It will be related to your project somehow, or it will be related to whatever the concepts that you have learned so far. So it won't be a complex questions that one can't handle.
And just one more thing, do they also take our PUC and 10th standard marks seriously? Like, if we have scored less in PUC, like, does that matter?
I don't think so. I don't think so. No, no. They just focus on your masters.
Okay. Thank you.
However, there will be Wasan test. So make sure that you understand multiple different accents at the end of the interview. I mean, once aptitude and technicals are done, and once you are selected, they'll give you the offer letter. But once you go to the company on the first day, there will be something called as Wasan test, where they'll make you sit in front of a system, and they'll give you a pair of headsets and a piece of paper and pen. You will get to hear multiple different accents, probably Spanish accent, Italian accent, France accent, Australian, UK, and you name it. And you will have to hear to those accents, and you will have to write what you have heard. And you will have to, and they'll ask you questions. You will have to answer them, and you will have to be as fluid as possible when you speak. Even that matters as well, because you will be working with multiple different clients, or stakeholders, because I currently work for hospitals which are in Spain, UK, Australia, and Middle East. So it's quite important to understand what they are saying, because you will be coding, or you will be understanding the requirements, and you don't want any sort of mishaps when you're developing an application, or when you are doing some kind of task, because that would impact the whole hospitals and someone's life. So you will have to understand different accents as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I want lateral entry to interact with the Vasuki and get more inputs. You have been dumb for a while. Fine. Vasuki, thank you, ma.
Thank
I
you,
think
sir.
they don't have any doubts now, so probably we can wind up now. So thank you very much. So any input, if you have, probably can please do share. We will also come back to you once the Cerner process is settled down. So we'll let you know so that we can also interact with them during that time as well.
Sure, sir. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Vasuki, thank
So
you.
student-
Thank you so much for your inputs and the time that you took to interact with our students. Keep in touch. I think this kind of interaction with our students will help us and the students in a longer way. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, thank you for this opportunity, ma'am. Thank you.
Students, with this we will come to the end of the OSC, that is Open Short Term Course in Unix for Engineers. So I will be soon sharing a feedback form and a small quiz in this regard, just to know your understanding. And hope you have got the assignments with you. So you may share the assignments and solve them and let us know if you have any challenges. So that's it from our end. HOD madam, would like to say something?
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you. I think I would thank the resource persons, Dr. Ganesh, Sudarshanam sir, Dwarakanath sir, and Venkatesh sir, who had been part of this OSC for the last 5 days. And I also thank the participants who have very enthusiastically, I would say, participated in all the sessions without missing any of them. And of course, you can always, students can come back to us and come back to the resource persons for any kind of queries or doubts if you have any. I think I thank all the resource persons for making it really happen very successful. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thank you, students. So we shall conclude now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.